Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing my infertility story. Sorry it's taken me so long. I was trying to wait for my husband, but his work schedule's been crazy, and so I figured that I would just do it today. Sorry about the lighting. Caleb's actually napping right next to me, so I didn't want to turn any lights on. But yeah, so I'm just going to get right into it. I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Basically means, in a simple way to explain it, is that on my ovaries I have tons of follicles that don't grow big enough to ovulate each month. So the normal person ovulates 1 to 2 follicles per month, and I don't ovulate at all. Maybe like once or twice a year I'll ovulate, but yeah, my problem is that I don't ovulate at all, but I have tons of follicles. PCOS also comes with a wide range of other symptoms. I'm not going to really get into that right now. But yeah, so in 2012, it was my senior year of high school. I graduated in 2013, and so in 2012 I was diagnosed with PCOS. They did it by, they found out by doing blood work and an internal ultrasound, which is where they saw all of the polycysticness, like all the cysts all over my ovaries. And then I got married in 2014, and 2015 is when my husband and I decided we wanted to try for a baby. I went to the gynecologist because I knew that we would have trouble getting pregnant. I was always told that when I first got diagnosed with PCOS, and my gynecologist said for me to try Clomid. And that's an infertility medicine. It's a little pill. And if anyone knows that's watching this knows what Clomid is, not a fun little pill to take. It makes you really moody and sweat, like makes you sweat a lot. Yeah, it's just not a fun pill. So I did that. The gynecologist put me on it without monitoring, which is not really supposed to be done, because with polycystic ovaries you can overstimulate, meaning you can have tons of follicles get really big and overstimulate really fast, and that is not good. One can get big and twist the ovary, and it's just dangerous. So he had me do that for a couple months, starting me on 50 milligrams, which I think is the lowest, all the way up until 200 milligrams. So I did 50 for a month. The next month I'd go up to 75, and then I went up to 100, 125, and then 200. And Clomid, he just had me do at-home ovulation tests, and the at-home ovulation tests always came back that I was ovulating, because I'm constantly having LH surges with PCOS. For those of you who have PCOS that are watching this, you probably know that. And if you don't, then taking ovulation tests at home are not really helpful for us with PCOS, so that's a little tip for you. I'm going to try and also try not to leave anything else out of this video. So sorry if it's kind of long. But we did that, we did Clomid, and it didn't work. Every month came back that I wasn't pregnant when I take the test. And so the gynecologist said that there was nothing else he could do, and that I should see a fertility doctor. So I had put in, my husband was in the Marine Corps at the time, and so I had put in to be seen at the fertility clinic at Balboa when we lived in San Diego. And the wait list was really long. They told me I probably wouldn't be seen for a year or two, and so I needed to find other options. So they gave me a referral to San Diego Fertility Clinic, and my husband had deployed right after we had our last cycle of Clomid, and when he got back from his first deployment, we started a medicine called letrozole, which is another medication commonly used for infertility or people with PCOS. And we tried that. I went to the fertility clinic. They actually monitored me this time because they know all the risks of the overstimulation and everything. And the first cycle, they were hopeful because my follicles, like I said, they don't grow big enough to ovulate. Normally you need your follicles to be 18 to 22 millimeters, I believe, in order to ovulate, and mine were only growing to like a 10 and then would dissipate. And so this one was growing to a 13, and so they were hopeful because it was growing, the egg was growing. And then I went back to my next appointment, and they said it wasn't really growing at the rate they wanted it to grow. It's supposed to grow 1 to 2 millimeters. I believe it's millimeters. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but 1 to 2 each day, and it wasn't growing at the rate they wanted it to. But for me to do the trigger shot, Overdrill, I believe it was called, and it basically, you give the shot in your belly and it releases the follicle, the egg, within 28 to 48 hours. You go home, you do your thing, and then you just pray for the best that something stuck. So we did that, and we didn't get pregnant from that cycle. So we tried another one, and it was the last one before my husband was going on a second deployment. There's also month gaps in between here. We took a lot of time off just for me to, you know, it's a lot when someone has infertility. It's kind of a lot on the couple, the person, mentally and physically when going through all this treatment. So we took some time off. So our second round of letrozole, my follicle grew to 16, and they were really hopeful. We did the whole thing. We went through the shot and like to release the follicle, and I didn't get pregnant. And my husband was deploying, I think, 2 months after that. So we decided to just focus on spending time together and not stressing over infertility, all this stuff, and just really, we said when he'd get back, we would really focus on finding better treatments, but for now, like, let's just focus on us. So we did that, and he deployed, and then during the deployment, I got a call from Balboa, which was the Navy hospital that also had an infertility clinic, and they told me that after, so this is almost 2 years that had gone by. We started November 2015, our first round of Clomid, and then, sorry, I'm trying to think of the date that they called me. They called me January 2017, so 2 years almost. They had called me and said that I finally got in. My name was out of the waiting list. I can come in and start. They do routine blood work to actually check if I have PCOS, just double check everything, internal ultrasounds, the whole, if you have infertility, you know, they do a whole blood work panel, everything, to just double check everything and find the right treatment for you. So I went in January, I got all that done. They confirmed I do have PCOS. That was the only thing causing my infertility, and they wanted to make sure that my husband didn't have anything also. So he got back in April, and in April 2017, and then in May 2017, he went, they checked everything for him, and like his sperm and everything was completely normal. So it was just me, which kind of made me feel bad, but then also good that we didn't have a secondary fertility problem with my husband, and so we could just get right down to the problem with me. So we explained to them that we already did Clomid, we did letrozole, and now we don't know what else to do. And so they said that they would recommend gonalf. I don't know the actual technical full name for it, but it's basically a pen, and it has a follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, in it, and you give it to yourself once a day, the dose that they tell you to do, and it stimulates the follicles to grow big enough, and you get monitored a lot during this process because this is a really high risk of overstimulating. So I went, well, I'll get into that. So anyway, so they explained that to us, and we said yes, like anything we can do to get pregnant, like we were really wanting to do, like we wanted to be parents so bad. And so June 2017 we started gonalf, and I just remember I was so excited because you know, like we were starting something that I was really hopeful for. I wasn't really hopeful when on the medication, the pill medication, and I just felt like putting a shot in my stomach was like, you know, like gonna get us pregnant. And so in June we did our first dose, and I honestly don't remember what they started us out at. I know the first round they made us go really low because they didn't know how my body would respond. Some people's bodies respond really well to a low dose, and some, like my bodies, didn't really respond at all. And they told us that. They said don't get really hopeful the first couple rounds, because the first couple rounds of the gonalf, we're just trying to figure out what works for your body and everything. And so, of course, I got hopeful still, because like, I don't think during the process I was really losing hope. My husband was always so optimistic about everything, which is so awesome to have in a spouse during infertility, because normally one of the spouses is a little less hopeful, which was me, and my husband, which was always so hopeful about getting pregnant. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So we started that in June, the lowest dose that we can do, and I honestly don't remember the doses. I want to say it was like 25. You set your pen. I have pictures that I am going to try to insert in this video. You set your pen to 25, and then you screw on the little needle on the top of it, of the pen. And then my husband always gave me the shots, and you just do it in your belly. You want to do it kind of where your ovaries would be in on your belly. So you just kind of go, I think it was like 2 inches from your belly button on the sides, and you want to just do it in different spots each time. So I went from one side one day, and then the next day for the shot I would go the other day. And we did the shots for about a week. I'd go get monitored, and if they thought that I needed more days of shots, I'd have to do more days of shots. They'd order me more medicine, and then eventually they'd just call it off. And they'd say, like, your follicles are big enough to be released with the trigger shot, which is the shot that releases the eggs. And so I would do that. And so I did that my first cycle, and took a pregnancy test. I was so excited, and came back negative. And I remember taking apart, for anyone who's done this, maybe even people who don't have infertility, you take apart the pregnancy test. I'm hanging it up in the light, I'm shining my flashlight through it, like I'm just trying to find any little line for hope. I just always did that with my pregnancy tests. So then the next month we tried again, and same thing, they just upped my dose a little bit, and my follicles grew big enough, it just wasn't getting pregnant. So, oh, also, sorry, I missed this part. We did IUI, which is where they insert my husband's sperm in me after I take the trigger shot. So I would normally take the trigger shot the day before, and then the next morning, I'd take the trigger shot at like 10 p.m. and the next morning we'd go in for our IUI, and they'd put my husband's sperm in me. But we really didn't need to do that because my husband didn't have any problems. So we only did 3 IUIs through all of the cycles, and I'll get into those. So then the next month we did the same thing, and we didn't get pregnant. So then I think we took a month off just for us to clear our heads, and like I said, it was just a lot on me, a lot, because I was getting really upset and sad, and I just really wanted to be a mom. And the biggest thing was to make my husband a dad, and I just felt like I was failing every month at that. And then we got back, like right back into it. The next cycle, the 3rd cycle, I was so hopeful, and my follicles did what they were supposed to. Good morning. I'm gonna bring him in the video. Good morning. My follicles did what they were supposed to, and I did the shot and everything, but we just didn't get pregnant. And we did this five times. Can you say hi? I'm talking about you. Hi. Let me get a toy. So the 5th round, I was on the verge of overstimulating. They told me, I remember they said something I'm not going to say it on here, but they said something really horrible to me about having basically special ed kids. If I continued with this round, they made me cancel my round. I wasn't allowed to do the shot, and I remember going home and crying, and they told me that they would only do one more round with me before they would send me off to do IVF. And I remember I was driving home and I was just so upset, and we decided we'd go through with the next round, and so we did. And then that round, it was my final round where I got him, but we didn't think that we would at first because it was my 6th round of doing the shots. This was in December of 2017. Yay! And I went in and my follicles grew to be like one was a 15 and one was a 16, and like I said, they like to see them at 18 to 20 or 18 before doing the shot, the trigger shot, so that they release. And the doctor had told me that he wasn't hopeful for us basically, and that we shouldn't get our hopes up for this round. He didn't want us to do the trigger shot because he said it really wasn't going to release anything anyway, so why give us another shot? And I remember I was driving, I left there and I was driving home. I called my mom and I was crying because if anyone has gone through IVF, you guys know how expensive it is, and I didn't think we really had the money for it at the time, and I just felt like a failure because my body wasn't doing anything like it was supposed to. And I got home and I was crying to my husband, and he put up with a lot of crying during infertility treatments because it's really draining and sad, and he was always still like so strong for me. But I remember going home and he was like, you know, let's just do the trigger shot tonight because they say your follicles grow 1 to 2, and if my follicle like 1 to 2 every day, and they still grow within 48 hours of the shot. So he said maybe tonight they'll grow 2 and they'll go to an 18, and the next day they'll go to a 20. And I was like, you know, like let's just do it. Why not? We have, you know, nothing to lose out on. And so we did it, and I remember 2 weeks after we did the shot, I was having like so much pressure and pain, and so I called the infertility clinic, and they saw me for an ultrasound just to make sure, because I thought I was having the overstimulation of my ovaries because it was just in so much pain. And so I remember the doctor laughing and saying, "This could be your first ultrasound while pregnant." And I was like, oh, like don't say that, like don't get my hopes up, you know, because at this point, like I don't want to say I lost hope, because I never really lost full hope that we would get pregnant and I'd, you know, become a mom, but I didn't want false hope, I guess. Maybe some of you guys can understand that too, that are going through infertility. So I remember him saying that, and I went home and I have pictures on my phone of that ultrasound and stuff that he was doing, because I was like thinking, you know, maybe this is like, and I can capture all of my last moments here. So then 3 weeks later, I took a pregnancy test. I actually waited an extra week because I didn't think I was pregnant, and I was upstairs in the bathroom, and I had just gotten home from work at 7 a.m. and my husband was home that day. And I remember I took the pregnancy test, I expected it to be another negative because that's all I was ever used to, and it turned those 2 pink lines. Let me try not to cry. Those 2 pink lines popped up so fast, and I didn't even like, I just jumped up from the toilet and I was like, babe, 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 and I was so excited, and I went downstairs and he stood up because he just knew right away like that we were pregnant. And they weren't even like, I didn't even have to take that pregnancy test apart. I didn't have to hold it up to the light. I didn't have to shine my phone flashlight through it, nothing. Like, it was just there. Like, he was there, like I was pregnant. And I remember we were just so excited. We were just hugging each other and jumping up and down, and it was just, you know, like we were gonna be parents. And So I called my infertility doctor and they told me to come in for blood work that day and the next day to make sure my levels were rising. And they were rising. And I was a nervous wreck and wanted an ultrasound even though I was only like 4.5 weeks pregnant. And they were okay with that. They said they were so used to that with infertility patients because, you know, we want to make sure that whatever baby's in there stays sticky, stays in there. And so I had an ultrasound at 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and then 8 weeks. He did one for me every week, internal ultrasound. And I remember at 6 weeks, we heard his little heartbeat. And he was just this little dot with a flicker on there. And then the 8-week ultrasound, he said, "You've graduated from the fertility clinic. You need to go find an OB." And we went with midwives. But I remember like walking out of the clinic, my husband and I, and it was just so strange that I wasn't going to be there next week every day for an ultrasound and blood work. I mean, I got blood work done. That's also another way they check to make sure the medicine's working. Sorry, I left that out, but I had blood work done like every day or every other day where I had like a permanent hole and bruise on my arm. And yeah, so that is our infertility story. I have questions that I had people ask me on Instagram that I didn't want to leave out. And sorry if I was all over the place with this video. I tried to not leave anything out, but if I did and you guys want to know more, just let me know and I will make another video, infertility story part 2, because I might have been all over the place with this. But I can also do like a birth story. I think that was one of my questions I had got on here. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the questions really quick. Well, I don't know where they went. Over here. Okay, so here are the questions. My camera's dying, and so I hope I can get these answered before it dies. So somebody had asked, how painful was childbirth? It was very painful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I had back labor the whole entire time I was in labor. I was in labor for over 32 hours. And I had back labor the whole entire time. I can do a birth story if you guys are interested. I would love to talk about it. Even though it was painful, I had the most amazing experience, and I would do it 10 times over just to get this little boy. Somebody had asked if a missed period was one of my symptoms of infertility, and yes, I have never really had normal periods. And so when I was in high school, my senior year, before I got diagnosed with PCOS, I had not gotten a period in months. And so that's one of the reasons why I did go to the gynecologist to get checked out, and he did all of my blood work and internal ultrasound, and then that's how he found out I had PCOS. But like I said, you don't, with PCOS, you don't ovulate. At least in my case, I don't ovulate, and so I also don't get a period. Let's see, what else? Did infertility affect your marriage? No, not in a bad way. I don't think at all. My husband and I never went through like arguments or anything over this. My husband was always really understanding. Like I said, he was always my calm during this whole process. He was always so hopeful. He always knew we would become parents. And I think that that was really important, because sometimes I would be really down and low and crying and really sad, and he just always knew how to cheer me up. And same for him, like if he was, you know, sometimes he said it would make him upset, and me always saying like the pregnancy test is negative, but we were always just there for each other. It's important to remember that you guys are both going through it together. Not one of you is going through it more than the other, and to just always be there for each other during this time, because it is hard, and I can see where it would try people's marriages. But yeah, just remember to always respect each other during this process, because it's hard. It's mentally and physically for the woman's body going through the treatments, and mentally for both of you guys. So yeah, we didn't have any issues in our marriage there. Let me see. Oops. Sorry, I'm just reading. I got the questions here. Oh, and then my best friend said, not a question. I just wanted to say I know the struggle you guys went through. Let me not cry. During the journey, and I'm in awe of how you guys pulled through and stayed hopeful, because you have your sweet baby boy, and I know this is the greatest gift God could give you guys. And I love you guys so much and miss you so much. And we love you. We miss you so much. Thank you for always being our best friend through this process. I'm not going to say anymore because I will cry. Somebody said, do you recommend going through infertility treatments to have a baby? And yes, 100%. Some people that just don't want kids, and that's okay, but if you have infertility and you want to seek treatment, if you have PCOS, I don't recommend Clomid or Letrozole. I know it works for some people, but it's proven really low ratings. For people with PCOS, I would recommend asking actually to do the gonalf, which is what I did, to just kind of jump right into it, because going through months and months of pills that make you feel crazy and everything, it's just better just to kind of jump right into something. Even though it's a little bit more extensive and harsh on your body, it is really worth it. And okay, so I think my camera died during that last scene, but I just wanted to make a ending part for this video. I think I was talking about, is infertility treatment worth it? And 100% yes. Sorry if you can hear the dogs. But yeah, so anyone who is going through infertility, I just want to let you guys know to never lose hope. I know that in the moment when everyone tells you it'll happen, if it's meant to happen, or if it's meant to be, it'll be, and those are just words you just don't want to hear in the moment, because I feel like everyone is meant to be a mom or a dad if you guys want to be. So it will happen. When I will say, and when it does happen, you are blessed with a beautiful baby boy or a beautiful baby girl. And yeah, so thank you guys for listening to my infertility story. If you guys have any more, look at the chills. If you guys have questions or want me to go more into detail about something, just let me know. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Click the like button below, and subscribe if you want to see more of our videos. And if you guys want me to give a birth story video also, just let me know. Thank you guys for watching.